Welcome everybody to our Truckee Town of Truckee Veterans Day 2020 celebration. My name is Dave Polivy. I'm the mayor for the town of Truckee, and Veterans Day is an official U.S. holiday that we observe annually on this November 11th to honor the veterans who serve and have served in the U.S. Armed Forces. Coincides with other holidays including Armistice Day and Remembrance Day, which are celebrated in other parts of the world, and also marks the anniversary of the end of World War I. I want to take a moment to thank all of our veterans for their service to our country. We really appreciate it. I'm going to give a brief history of the Eagle Monument here. The Eagle Monument is, it's a fitting that this ceremony is being held here in the Truckee Victory Plaza as it has been for a number of years. The site of the Victory Highway Eagle Monument was dedicated to the sons and daughters who served their country in the World War 1917 to 1918, and to the memory of those who gave the last full measure of devotion. This monument's history is actually a metaphor to the veterans who were honored by its creation and to those who have served in the last 100 years. The female bald eagle is on her eyrie protecting her two eaglets, which symbolize how our veterans defended this great nation. The Victory Plaza symbolizes the town of Truckee's gratitude to all of our veterans. After World War I, there was great support and recognition for the veterans. The Victory Highway was to be developed to cross the country with monuments identical to this one, placed at every county line along the way. That would have been quite a few monuments to this day. Unfortunately, the Eagle Monument project was sidelined by the Great Depression, and the Victory Highway evolved into the Lincoln Highway and Highway 40. There were actually only 6 of these monuments built in the country, and ours stood on the California-Nevada border until 1970. That was a time of significant turmoil in this country caused by dissension over the Vietnam War and the resulting falling out of favor of patriotism and support for our veterans. Our Eagle Monument was removed from the border by Caltrans because of continuing vandalism and placed in several locations, the last being an unfortunate warehouse in Marysville. In 1998, the monument was returned to Truckee through the efforts of local veterans and the town of Truckee leadership. It was placed on a stand in front of the train station and subsequently moved to the lobby of the town hall. In 2014, it was installed on this pedestal in the Victory Plaza as part of the town's development of Brickletown to complete Truckee's tribute to her veterans. Thank you to Thomas Hobday, retired captain of the U.S. Army, for putting together this history of the Eagle Monument.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring. My native country, thee, land of the noble free.
I'd now like to introduce our guest speaker, Gary Seeger, Captain, U.S. Marine Corps veteran. After graduating from Harvey Mudd College with a BS in physics in 1966, Gary Seeger joined the Marine Corps. After graduating from Officer Candidate School as a second lieutenant in November 1966, Gary went to Pensacola, Florida for naval air flight training. He carrier qualified and earned his wings in March 1968. After a year at El Toro, California, with the VMCJ-3 Squadron, Gary joined VMCJ-1 in Da Nang, Vietnam in March 1969. He was transferred to the headquarters and maintenance group at Da Nang and was appointed as the MAG-11 Special Services Officer while still flying photo recon missions in the RF-4 and electronic countermeasures missions in the EA-6 for VMCJ-1. For his efforts in special services, he was awarded the Bronze Star for meritorious performance. His last year in the Marine Corps from March 1970 to March 1971 was spent with VMCJ-2 at Cherry Point, North Carolina. Gary spent his civilian career in quality assurance, reliability, and regulatory affairs for pharmaceutical and medical device companies, and has recently retired from Stellar Tech Research Corporation, where he was the Vice President of Quality Assurance and Regulatory Affairs in the design, development, and manufacture of therapeutic energy delivery systems. Gary used his VA benefits to earn an MBA from UCLA in the evenings early in his career. He is also a certified quality engineer and certified reliability engineer with the American Society of Quality. As a certified Little League baseball umpire, Gary has served as a volunteer Little League umpire for 30 years and continues to do so here in Truckee. During his younger years, he also managed to find time to participate in marathon running, ultra running, and Ironman triathlons. Gary and his wife Loretta now reside in Tahoe Donner and are delighted to be part of the Truckee community. I want to thank Gary Seeger for being here today and addressing all of you. Gary?
I would like to thank the Mayor and Town Clerk Judy Price for this opportunity to share a few thoughts on this Veterans Day 2020. I will be brief. I apologize up front for using notes because my memory's not as sharp as it used to be, if it ever was sharp. My name is Gary Seeger. I'm a Vietnam Marine veteran. There's nothing particularly brave or special about me, nor will I bore you with personal stories about battles past. 1 year ago, I was sitting in the Veterans Hall at a table with Judy Price, the town clerk, when Judy asked how she was going to find a speaker for this year's Veterans Day. And without thinking it through, I had the audacity, arrogance, and hubris to open my mouth and volunteer to share a few thoughts for today. And for the past year, I have been wondering what in the heck I was thinking and what I'm going to say to a group of veterans, heroes and heroines already pre-registered for heaven. What was I thinking? Well, the first thing I want to say to all of you is a grateful and loving welcome home to my brothers and sisters. For me, Veterans Day is a day of remembrance and reflection. According to Google, there are about 17,400,000 of us veterans today, and each of us has our own or her own stories and remembrances. I'd like to share some thoughts of my own with you today, and perhaps my thoughts will bring back some past memories to you also. I did not realize that 29 of our 45 presidents have some form of military experience. I was surprised to learn that since 1945, 10 of our 13 presidents have some form of military experience and are veterans. Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Reagan, Carter, Bush the Elder, and Bush the Jr. were all veterans. Only Clinton, Obama, and Trump have not served. And it's also interesting to note that 5 of the contenders for the presidency in recent years, Dukakis, Dole, Kerry, McCain, and Gore, all had military experience. Google also informs me that 24 of the 100 U.S. senators and 77 of the current 435 members of the House of Representatives have military experience. Now, I'm not in any way implying that that experience made our presidents or congressional members any more or less effective in their elected positions, but it does indicate that they have some common experience with those of us who are veterans. The guns went silent in Europe at 11 a.m. on November 11, 1918, as the armistice for World War I took place. It's 102 years ago. The internet also tells me that Armistice Day originated 1 year later in 1919, that Congress passed a resolution for an annual observance in 1926, and it became a national holiday in 1938. Google tells me that 4.7 Americans served in World War I, 2.8 million Americans served overseas. Google also tells me that 300,000 of the 16 million World War II veterans are alive today. In trying to grasp such numbers, I invented as a metric, because I'm a quality assurance quote-unquote professional, the Rose Bowl metric. The Rose Bowl holds 91,000 people. And if you have ever been to a Rose Bowl game, you can feel what 191,000 people feels like. You can't find a place to park, and you can't find your car afterwards, and you can't get out of the traffic jam. That means that 177 Rose Bowls of men and women served in World War II. That means you would fill the Rose Bowl up and empty it 177 times. That's how many Americans served in World War II. And I marvel at what those veterans did for America and for the world. They came home from the war. They went to work in the factories, the plants, the businesses. They rebuilt America that had not recovered from a depression, and they sent money around the world to Europe and to Japan to rebuild those countries with their tax dollars. And they sent their sons and daughters around the world to defend liberty and freedom throughout the world. They made an incredible difference. Excuse me while I change pages. My father was one of those veterans. He was in England on June 2nd, 1944, when I was born, 4 days before D-Day. He didn't see me till I was at least a year old. I suspect that many of you in this audience today have fathers, grandfathers, uncles, and relatives who served in that great war. Although the internet is somewhat confusing on numbers, there appear to be about 2.25 million veterans of the Korean War alive today, of the 5.7 million who served in that conflict. About 850,000 veterans of the Vietnam War who served in that conflict. 2.7 million served in that theater of conflict. And since 1973, there has been no draft, and every service person since that time has been a volunteer. Google tells me that there are 650 veterans of the Kuwait War and 2 million veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan War. And as I said earlier, Google tells me that 17,400,000 veterans are alive in the U.S. today, out of a total population of 330 million. If you take off the kids under 18 years old, somewhere between 10% and 14% of our population today are veterans. In his inaugural address in 1961, John Fitzgerald Kennedy stated, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." Every veteran in this audience stepped up and answered the call. Every veteran in this audience was deployed in one way or another, be it overseas or in the USA, be it in combat or standing on the wall in case combat occurred. We gave our time and a portion of our lives to the service of our country. We missed weddings and funerals, graduations, childbirths, Thanksgivings, Christmases, and we can be proud of the service to our country. Each of you stepped up. And to give credit where credit is due, I'd like to say a few words to another group of veterans. To the fathers, the mothers, the spouses, the brothers, the sisters, and the children, those who actively served in uniform, because of all of you also served. You sent letters, prayers, care packages, support and love to your soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and Merchant Marines. You suffered the pangs of separation. You raised the children, you kept the home fires burning, and you were home plate. And during combat, you suffered the fears of lives lost. I remember my mother and my friends' mothers who were terrified that they'd turn on the news one night and found out that one of us had died. And you were there for us when we came home. You should be rightfully proud of your service to your loved ones and your country. Those of us in uniform would not have made it through if not for you. You are very special. On a personal level, I'm fortunate to have my health at 76 years old, and I've had the privilege and honor to be a volunteer certified Little League umpire for over 30 years for all age groups. And every time I take the field and call out play ball, the back of my mind pictures the generations of veterans who have served this country and made it possible for me to share sunny Saturday afternoons on a baseball field with thousands of children. Like many of you, I get my medical care from the VA. Every time I visit the VA hospital in Palo Alto, my heart goes out to those veterans who bear the wounds and scars of battle and service. I see canes, I see walkers, I see wheelchairs, and I have a feeling actually of survivor's guilt. The internet tells me that 9 million veterans are served by the VA in one way or another, and I'm grateful for the doctors, nurses, and staff of the VA who are there serving us with kindness, caring, and compassion. This has been a tough year for our country. COVID, fires, hurricanes, riots have beset us. And I ask myself where the firmament lies. I know it lies within the veterans. If any of you wonder if you made a difference in your life, you did. You stepped up, you took the oath, you did your duty. I'm not able to look at this day as a celebration. I look at this day of sincere remembrance and reflection every year, along with my brothers and sisters who kept this the land of the free because of the brave. And I often ask myself, who are my heroes? They're not great athletes, they're not politicians. They're the soldiers who stormed the beaches of Normandy on D-Day, the Marines who raised the flag at Mount Suribachi, the sailors, the Coast Guardsmen, the Merchant Marines who sailed the oceans, the pilots who flew sorties over enemy territory, the veterans who are buried in many veterans' cemeteries around the country, who stepped forward as citizen soldiers and then they did their duty to our country. You are the real heroes. You are the real heroines. I'm humbled to be able to address you today. I praise you and I thank you for your service. You are the real deal. You are the eagles, one of which is shown on the monument to my left. My fervent hope and prayer is that we will all be able to meet in person next year at this memorial site and the Veterans Hall in person to share our remembrances. May God hold each and every one of you and your family in his hands until next year. May God bless all of you and the United States of America. Semper Fidelis.
Sound off, sound off, sound off, sound off. 1, 2, 3, 4, sound off. Over hill, over dale, as we hit the dusty trail, and the caissons go rolling along. In and out, stop, we're out, powder march.
We are not the same note. I think.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That was something.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys got it?
And we were not on the same note. We got it. Switch. I don't want my red
You
stuff.
gotta remember it's performance begins people.
Right.
Okay.
Except when it's so off. We were not.
We didn't hear it. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sound off, sound off, sound off, sound off. 1, 2, 3, 4, sound off. Over hill, over dale, as we hit the dusty trail, and the caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter march another cut, and the caissons go rolling along. And it's high, high, me in the field artillery. Sound off, your numbers loud and strong. Where our marching song, our song we sing on land or sea. Through surf and storm and howling gale, I shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame, our glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die, I Coast Guard, we are for you, for you. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battle in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to wear the title of United States Marines. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, soon to meet our thunder, and a voice, hear a gun. Down we dive, starting our flame from under, off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame or go down in flame, nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force.
Veterans Day is a very special day to America and is considered a national holiday for several reasons. The holiday was established after World War I by President Woodrow Wilson and was known as Armistice Day. The name was changed by Alvin J. King, a United States Marine who received the Medal of Honor, to Veterans Day after World War II and the Korean War. It became known that our country's strongest fighters were risking their lives away from their families and friends to protect our country, and so a holiday was made out of it to celebrate our soldiers. Veterans Day is extremely important because the people fighting for us deserve to be celebrated, and it allows Americans to thank the veterans. Veterans Day is extremely important? Okay. Veterans Day is extremely important because the people fighting for us deserve to be celebrated, and it allows Americans to thank the veterans for their service in a more meaningful way. Veterans Day is especially important as a national holiday because it celebrates the veterans that give us freedom and make incredible personal sacrifices for their country. Veterans Day is a national holiday where the whole nation celebrates the service that our veterans have done for us and the sacrifices they have willingly made. There is a story from the Wall Street Journal coming from a veteran who was paralyzed, but he gets back on his bike and fights his injuries another day. There are several other stories like that one with an uplifting tone about the veteran's journey to recovery, or a more mournful tone about those that we've lost. Another great way to understand what these soldiers go through is to read the memoir Forever War by Dexter Filkins. That memoir is filled with real-life stories and examples of what soldiers go through in combat. Some soldiers suffer minor to severe PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and they are never the way they were before the service in Iraq or Afghanistan. Luckily for soldiers like these, there are many support groups to come home to, such as family and friends, or specialized group homes for veterans. In Truckee, the closest veterans home is Northern Nevada State Veterans Home, which is a great way for the soldiers to connect. Whether their service experiences were good or bad, veterans should be celebrated, and that is why this national holiday was created. There is a dictionary definition for the word sacrifice: the act of giving up something that you want to keep, especially to get or do something else to help someone. The word sacrifice means the same thing to everyone in the world, a selfless action to help someone else with no benefit to themselves. The difference is that the scale of sacrifice is very different for different people. For an average person living a simple life, a sacrifice could be giving up their time to help someone else while they had something else they needed to do. For a veteran, their sacrifice is their life. They are sacrificing everything they have, their families, their friends, their whole lives voluntarily so that no one else has to if they don't want to. These sacrifices are being made all around us in the Tahoe Truckee area. A South Lake Tahoe local named Martin Hawley has lived in South Lake since 1958. He served in World War II and spent a year in an American prison camp in France. Imagine if they didn't make those sacrifices. and our enemies come to attack our country over and over. A great example is when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in World War II. Before that event, America was not participating in the war, and so America was attacked. After Pearl Harbor, America drafted many of the men in the country to fight in the war. The sacrifice these soldiers are making for the U.S. is bigger than anyone could fathom, and so the nation thanks them. My great-grandfather was in the U.S. Navy during World War II, and he told me so many stories. One story that stood out to me was about how he got a telegraph from my great-grandmother when my grandma was born. He sacrificed his wife to be without a husband and his daughter to be without a father so that future wives and daughters wouldn't have to have that experience unless their husband/father volunteered as well. Veterans Day is special to me because of my great-grandfather in the Navy, and my father is a retired police officer from Grand Prairie, Texas. Due to these figures in my life growing up, I've heard countless stories about the dangers in the world on land and water. As my father was a police officer, he already experienced so many dangers and near-death experiences, and that was in our own country. I can't possibly imagine how traumatizing and terrifying it must be to fight in a war, and that is why I appreciate the veterans so deeply. They go through so much by choice, so I believe they deserve a day dedicated to that. Veterans Day is incredibly important for many reasons. The main reason it is important to me is that the veterans give us our freedom by making their sacrifices.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Matt Hillock. I'm a commander of Truckee Post 439, American Legion. I'd like to welcome you to our Veterans Day activities. We've been a post since 1931, and the flags in front of me are the original flags from when we were established. Now we're coming up on our 90th year celebration, and we are a growing organization and an even bigger community of veterans. We welcome everyone to take part. Those that want to join are welcome to, but this building and this property is for all veterans, their families, and the entire community. So a lot of people haven't been aware that this is a thriving place. It's a growing spot. So there's a great article in the Sierra Sun about the history of our building and the property and all the different organizations that have been involved in the building somehow. I'm looking forward to showing what the American Legion and the Post can do, for the community once more. It used to be the go-to spot for times just like this, when people are uncertain of, well, what do we do now? This membership, I can attest, has the answers and has the resources to help anyone who doesn't know what to do in these times. There's plenty of opportunities. We have Veterans TV. It's a paid training program for veterans and their dependents. So it's open to pretty much everybody somehow affiliated to military service. We have local people that have incredible stories that, when we all get the time, we can share again. And we're going to be working on filming stories of service from our community so that others can learn from it. I welcome anyone who wants to take part in these projects to come forward and contact us. We've been approved to enhance the entire facility, the building, the property. We're going to expand and pave the parking lot across the street and put a tank out there. We're going to close down High Street and turn it into a memorial green space so that people can walk to and from town without having to cross traffic. We're also going to create a pathway that's easier to manage than the current situation. It's a little steep, so we're going to have a way for people to walk down through slowly among apple trees. We lost an apple tree. We're going to plant 10 more, maybe 11, one for good measure. So anyway, we have a lot going on. There's a project for everybody, whoever wants to be involved. We have history that needs to be captured. We have history that we need to preserve. We have the future that we have to ensure provides for people when we're not here anymore. Improving this facility will do that. Join me in making this Veterans Day a Veterans Day where you reach out and connect with another veteran and see how they're doing and see if they need an opportunity. And if that's the case, and if it's the case for you, please contact us. You can reach us online at truckeepost439@gmail.com. Our post 439 in Truckee, has an active veteran service officer that will call you or video chat with you if you need some services that you aren't receiving. Please contact us and enjoy your Veterans Day. Thank you.
For the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. America, my home.
Upon closing, I'd like to remember my own grandfather and my father and probably others in my family who have served as veterans back to World War I and World War II. So thank you. Take a moment of silence just to reflect on all those who have served our country. Thank you. And a few more thanks for all the folks participating in our program this morning, excuse me. Guest speaker Gary Seeger, thank you so much. Friends of the Vets Hall, the Mountain Bells and group leader Sonny Todd. Matt Hillock with American Legion Post 439 Commander. And of course, Tahoe Truckee Media for recording this great event. Thank you, everybody. I want to remind you that there is a lunch reception. There's a grab-and-go lunch up at the Veterans Hall, hosted by the Friends of the Veterans Hall and made possible by Grateful Gardens in Reno and the Truckee Core Values Fund. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy.